Hi everybody, Kimberly here, and today I want to show you how to make what's called a galaxy background. There are lots of different ways to make a galaxy background, and I'm going to show you how I made mine with a few of the supplies that I have on hand. The galaxy background is the absolute perfect backdrop for this new set of stamps and dies from My Favorite Things, and I'll pull it over for you so you can see it, called Count the Stars. And I think it's just an absolutely gorgeous set and just lots of possibilities. So this background just seemed to work out perfectly for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with a piece of Sweet Tooth cardstock from My Favorite Things. So just white cardstock, and you can use any kind of white cardstock that you have. And I'm going to start with some ink colors. And I have Snow Cone, I have Pure Plum, I have After Midnight, and then I also have Black Licorice. I also have some inking tools from Ranger, these mini ink blending tools that are going to help me create this background. If you're interested in any of these supplies, remember I post them underneath the video description, and there's links right there that can take you to where you pick these up. So I'm going to start with my lightest color first, which is Snow Cone, and I'm just going to kind of apply this color to a bit of the center. Again, with ink blending, you're just going to work in a circular motion and work the color around the paper. And the nice part about these dye-based inks is that you can just go back and layer and layer and layer and layer. So I'm going to put this one aside for now, and then I'm going to go into this purple color, and this is Pure Plum. I'm going to take a different handle. Now you could just use one handle, but remember you need to change these Velcro foam applicators between colors. You don't want them to mush together too much. And I'm not going to be real particular about this. Just going to go put the color down. And sometimes I like to work off the edge towards the center a little bit. And just keep working the color around. I'm going to go to my After Midnight. And I like this one because it's kind of this bluish, deep, kind of navy blue color. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just this really beautiful, elegant color. And I'm really going to work this color around a lot of my edges because I really do want this background to be very dark, because I'm trying to create this night sky look. Okay, so I have to apologize. Apparently my video got cut off and I didn't realize it happened. So let's kind of continue off where we left off. I was using the After Midnight, and I was kind of working it all the way around the edges. And one thing I wanted to point out was that you can go really lightly with your ink tool and put a very light amount of color down. So it kind of depends on how much you push and how much pressure you put down with the foam applicator. I'm going to go back in and just add a little bit more color in places here. Kind of work this around a little bit. And I think that's probably the fun part, is that it's putsy and you can play with it a lot and add a lot of color and a lot of depth and contrast. It's kind of fun. I do have to tell you a funny story though. While I am sitting here working on these cards, I cannot make this up if I tried. I am honestly watching Star Wars. I am watching the original trilogy of Star Wars. It's one of my favorite movies to watch when I work, so it is kind of funny that I am making galaxy backgrounds as we're talking about a galaxy far, far away. Okay, so my last color that I'm going to use around here is I'm going to use the black. And by going around the edges with the black, I'm really going to add this crazy amount of depth and also really help bring this whole background together. And I'm just going to keep working that color all the way around and working it towards the inside. And kind of going over this. And this one, I seem to have a whole lot of light color to the inside of it, which is okay. That's not too bad. I don't want to use that one. Let's go back and do this light one. And try to blend over that a little bit, make that a little bit deeper. So there we go. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here's the one that I had made before. And before we got cut off. So here's my second one. So you can see they're always a little bit different. And now for the finishing touch, the thing that I love the most is I love the white fleckles that you put on here, and they just look so cool. I don't have any of like the white paints or any of those kind of things. So I was looking at what I have in my stash, and what I had in my stash was I have these Mixables mist, the sheer shimmer mist. And then I had a Sweet Tooth Reinker, and I thought, well, if I mix this, which will be shiny and wet, and then add the color of this reinker, I think that's going to work out. So I took a mini mister, and I took the cap off, and I poured just some, you know, about this much of the sheer shimmer mist in there, and then I put a few drops of the Pigment Ink Sweet Tooth Reinker. I squirted it and played with it, and it wasn't enough reinker, so I just add a little bit more. So go ahead and play around with that. I made this yesterday, so the pigment has kind of sunk to the bottom. So I'm going to turn it upside down and shake it so that I get that pigment mixed back into my mists. And that should be good. Open it up, and instead of spraying it, I'm going to use the, I don't know, whatever you call this little hose thing here, and I'm just going to tap it, and then I'm going to let it splat on my background. And kind of all over everything else too, but that's okay. It wipes up easily. And then you get this really cool background by just flicking a little bit of that color. So there you have it, my version of a galaxy background. Just a super cool technique. One thing I do want to mention is on my card, I went and did some heat embossing here with the sentiment around the die cut words. This is a very wet, inky background. So even when I used my heat embossing tool to try to dry it, it didn't dry enough. So if you're going to do this and heat emboss, make sure that you set this aside to dry. I did these yesterday, and by today it was finally ready for me to heat emboss with it without the embossing powder sticking all over. So keep that in mind. So have fun creating galaxy backgrounds. And remember, once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away. Thanks for stopping by. Have fun stamping.